The trend in the legal business is to get more and more specialized. And that's not what a professional advisor should be. You should be broadening your horizons rather than being more and more constrained. It used to be, you call the lawyer up because he's been around forever, he knows all the family secrets and the players and so forth. That allows you to demonstrate that broad concern for the overall well-being of the client and the client's family. Well, first of all, in the legal profession at least, I am bucking the trend. I am the trusted family retainer in a lot of ways, just like the firm was in 1910. That's the way lawyers used to be. We try to figure out things in an organized fashion to predict problems before they arise so that we can have the family or the business positioned to be able to deal with these problems effectively. How do you start the conversation? How do you talk to people in a way that gets to the point relatively quickly on a one-on-one human basis? And that's not something you're going to pick up on the website. That has to do with how do you ask the right questions, how do you deal with people productively. After you've identified the situation, you're going to maybe talk about what problems that client faces. And it's mostly listening. This isn't a lot of you telling them what the problems are. You want the client to tell you what he or she is feeling, what keeps them up at night. What does it mean to have a problem like that? What might happen if we don't deal with these things effectively? And allow the client to tell you what are the potential things that can go wrong as a result of not solving this situation. You see where we're getting to? At the end of that conversation, the client is ready to have a conversation about how maybe to address those problems in productive ways that will make the problems easier to manage. Not necessarily solve everything, but the payoff. How do we end up getting to the point where things are better than they are now? Notice that that's a client-driven process. You have technical legal skills or technical skills in whatever field you're in, and you understand how the many moving parts relate to the ultimate goals. You identified the issue, you brought the chance for peace or progress, you are sensitive as an advisor, you see emotional issues, but you don't get embroiled in the emotional issues. You care about the next generation, and you achieve that goal that we're trying to get to, which is to be the trusted family advisor. The withering business is the entrepreneur who says, no one is ever going to be as good as I am in running this business. I founded it, it's my baby, and no one walks into this place as vice president. I don't care if you're my son or not. And he, as a result, has no middle manager for us. Well, the question here, of course, is how do we preserve this wealth? Because the entrepreneurial generation is not going to be around forever and goes away, and then what do we have? The business itself will wither and die. Opening the door to these kinds of conversation, getting people in the room, beginning to understand with the help of a professional, what is the psychology that drives the attitude that we see in the older generation? Sensitive ways of opening up that door and having a conversation. Very important to try to do, and I try to do it. And sometimes it's successful, and sometimes their heels are dug in, and they are just not going to do anything. And then it's one of those 2/3 of the businesses who don't manage to make it to the third generation. You treat the client as a whole person, not just a file. Every client is your only client when you start asking questions like this. They like that.